James that this is the place to be.
We're Good Folk Brewing, so we're in Newcastle. We've only been open for 6 months.
And it was James, right?
Yeah, James. Yeah. So, we've hit the market pretty young, but we've hit the ground running, and we're all about just providing good beer, good people. Our flagship beer, Danny's Wedge, we got gold at the AIBAs. So,
Oh, nice, nice.
So we're stoked.
Yeah, Newcastle has started popping up a lot of breweries in the last 5 years.
Yeah, massively. Like, it's had so much potential for so long in Newcastle. And I think just now, it's just becoming a hub, you know?
Yeah,
and
I'm curious, from a brewer's perspective, why do you think it's suddenly popped off?
I don't know why it suddenly popped off. I'm more confused as to why it hasn't popped off years ago.
Yeah.
Because Newcastle's been a place where old industry is dying out there. You know, you had all the old coal, like the mining.
A very long time ago, yeah.
And that's all changed for like the last 5 years. It's been changing to more of a younger, more creative art style town. So there's cafes, restaurants. So breweries were just, I think, the natural progression of things.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's now like in that Islington, Wickham, Hamilton area, I like to describe it as like the Marrickville, like the inner west of Sydney.
The inner west of Newcastle.
Yeah,
love
so
it.
there's like the boys at Method, there's Shout that's here tonight, us.
And then Foghorn as well, right?
Yeah, Foghorn, they've been here for so long.
Yeah.
But now there's all these new ones popping up, and it's just getting bigger and bigger. And then obviously with Modus getting another big brewery in Newcastle, that helps with the shed some more light on Newey.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like build it and they will come sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
The more breweries that pop up, suddenly there's this big swell of activity from the patrons, more breweries, and more craft beers love life. Yeah.
And I always, in a similar vein, I like the saying, floating, like the high tide floats all ships as well. So everybody who is a brewer there wants to help the other brewers there. Like there's no like facetious, you know, oh, I want to be better than them, or you know, screw them. Like I've been helped by several of the other brewers when we were getting started, just like I would help all the other startup breweries, and like everyone's just wanting people to do better.
Well, that's the thing. We're in such a tight-knit community that if you're trying to be cutthroat, it's just not going to work. Because if you, at some point, you will need to lean on someone else.
Yeah.
And realistically, the only true competition here is the big commercial boys.
Yeah.
Everyone outside of that, we're all in the same boat.
Yeah, we're different to other industries, having such a huge independent presence and such a huge non-independent presence. It's kind of more like us versus them, not like us versus each other.
Yeah.
So we all stick together, band together, and we bring each other up, and maybe we can take them on. And they're seeing it. That's why they're purchasing.
Well, events exactly like tonight is what we're seeing, is the result of years of pushing for this craft movement. We are about 15 years behind the States, but we are getting that big groundswell now.
Yeah. Like speaking to the guys at Sierra Nevada, like it's like fascinating. Even for me, like I'm still young in the brewing industry, even here, let alone in the world. Like they started in 1980.
Yeah.
And like so over there, home brewing was illegal in America when they started. So they actually
did not know this.
Yeah. So like the founder of Sierra Nevada actually pushed the governor of California and the then president of the United States to legalize home brewing.
So can we say that Sierra Nevada was originally moonshiners?
Well, maybe. I don't know what the whole technical term of moonshining was, whether it was spirits or beer, but yeah, there was a prohibition era, like at the end of prohibition. But their pale ale, I always knew their pale ale was a long time thing, but I didn't realize like that pale ale was like the first ever craft beer, essentially. And like just the growth that they've had, but they're still family owned.
Yeah.
And like they are not only like 15 years, like you'd say like they're 43 years old now.
And that's the wild part, is that they're still independent.
Yeah.
That's the wild part about what makes them so awesome. So I'm getting the wrap up from him, but I didn't. We will jump over there in a second, but I do want to ask one more question from a brewer's perspective. What is your next, brewer-born beer in the works? What's your next baby that, if you had full creative reign, you could spend it however much you want, and it didn't need to be a profitable beer? What is the next ridiculous thing that you want to make personally?
Well, I mean, you're asking at the wrong time because I've just done that here with our GABS beer. So like,
Well, describe the GABS beer.
yeah, the GABS beer. Like, so that's our maple blueberry Biscoff pancake stout. So.
Oh, the Biscoff stout. That I need to try this out.
Yeah. So like, you know, I would have Biscoff pancakes at the last place I worked. Like the chefs would make it, and like me and my wife would really like blueberry chocolate pancakes on a weekend. So that was what it was all about for GABS me. So we got like little bacon crisps that you eat.
Nice.
Have the pancake. It's just all maple syrup. So you get that maple bacon.
It's diabetes in a jar.
Yeah, it's diabetes. And then like we got Biscoff biscuits you can dunk in and eat them as well. So,
I love it.
Yeah,
I freaking love it.
Bacon first.
Yep.
So chew on a bacon bite, then sip the beer.
Yep.
So that'll give you that more like savoury maple bacon kind of flavour.
Are we going to get any smoke from this, or are these like not a smoked bacon?
No, they're just Nobby's bacon bites.
Oh, yeah, okay, fair enough.
There's nothing fancy about them. We just brew the beer, and one of the guys who's like an investor, and like he was just like, man, this thing would go so well with like bacon crisps.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck it, let's give it a go, make it an experience.
Yeah.
And then we tried it, and we're like, this is fantastic.
Yeah. Love it.
So, but the bacon, what it does, it's like salty and like savoury.
Yeah.
Because the beer is fucking sweet. Like, it's finishing gravity.
Well, yeah,
is like,
we just saw that. It was 9%.
Yeah.
So you don't do things by halves, do you, James? That is, even by GABS standards, that's up there.
Yeah, but like we do and we don't. So like our Danny's Wedge, it's like a session 4.4, like tropical pale.
So pretty light, yeah.
We keep our like core range beers are just all about that. Like we want to brew a beer that's for everybody. Like that's what the whole brand's about. Good folk, good people, just good beer. Nothing like wild and crazy. Well, at least in the core range. But then there's creative freedom to go off and do.
And that's the fun of craft brewing, right? But I did interrupt you. What was the final gravity of the stout?
So it ended at 1032, but there were two. So there's two fermentations. Yeah, two fermentations. So it initially, we put it in tank, it goes down to 1036, and then we went and added all the maple and the blueberry and the Biscoff.
Did you have any way to account for the sugar that could actually be fermented out of that?
Yeah, well, I didn't know exactly how much would be, but I could measure how much it added.
Yep.
And then I measured again how much it then re-fermented back down to 1030.
Right, okay.
So then you can calculate how much extra alcohol is then added.
Yeah.
So it started off at almost 8%, and then it ended up at 9%.
And to get there, was that a bit of homegrown maths, or is there something that you are using to calculate that? Because there are a lot of homebrewers that add stuff into secondary, and it's difficult to figure out what your actual final ABV was after adding a secondary fruit addition, for example.
So the way I would do it is you measure your gravity before you add it, measure your gravity after, and then you just tag that gravity addition to your initial gravity, essentially.
Yep.
So like, maybe it was 1090 and it ended at 1036, but then I added another 15 points. So I'd say, well, it's then gone to like 1105 and then gone to 1036.
Yeah, okay.
So that's
you're just adding for the difference.
Yeah, you're adding for what you've added, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, you sort of add it to the initial, not to the end, because alcohol acts differently. It doesn't like, it's not linear.
Yeah.
It kind of, it goes in a weird way. So you got to tag it to
we're working with living organisms here. They don't behave properly.
So you don't just go, oh, I went to 1036 and then I brewed another like 0.5% beer. You say like, oh, I brewed an initial 9% beer kind of thing. So that's how I would do it.
All right. Let's do it. So, Nobby's bacon first. By the way, as a vegetarian, I miss the taste of bacon.
And that transition here.
They're vegetarian.
They're vegetarian Nobbies, yeah. I found that out many years ago when I was like, I miss bacon.
It's like that bacon flavor.
Okay, that's nice. You're getting the sweet and the salty. It's almost like a sweet and sour in the world of sauces.
That's pretty dark.
It's heavy, but you know what? For a 1036, it's not carrying super thick.
Yeah.
Like, it's, well, I guess because there's so much booze in there, it's thinning out that body.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hard. I think I'm getting maple, then blueberry, and then I'm back to maple on the final finish. Yeah.
Now try the
And now,
Because there's the maple at the start is more the artificial, super sweet stuff, and then you kind of hit that berry flavor note, and then it's that lingering organic woodiness of the maple.
so like, and then there is Biscoff in the beer, but the maple just ended up overpowering it.
I tried one of the Biscoff stouts from somewhere over that direction.
Yeah, I think one of them have like they pour it over ice cream, like that.
Yeah.
They got a Biscoff porter or something.
And I never really noticed that cinnamon was in Biscoff, so that's it, by the way.
See a little bit of it, and
Yeah.
then you can either dunk it in, or I just went beer and then Biscoff, and I thought that was amazing.
Okay, so beer then Biscoff, that's the way?
It's up to you, but if you have them together, because the Biscoff flavour from the actual beer kind of disappeared.
Okay.
So that's why we brought the biscuit along to bring it back, because there is a lot of Biscoff in there, but the maple overpowered it so much.
Right, okay.
I wanted to, like, Biscoff was meant to be the hero, and so
But you're dealing with other dominant flavours, All right, let's go. So we'll go Biscoff.
And then the biscuits end up, it just adds to the experience.
I never really had Biscoff with cinnamon until this weekend. Like,
It's like a massive thing in the UK.
Oh, that's nice.
Does it
Okay.
get like sugar?
Yeah, it turns into more of like a dessert beer with the Biscoff. And when you have it, so there's the beer and there's the Biscoff. So when you have it with the bacon, it's like salty and sweet, almost like a sweet and sour sauce from Macca's. Like they balance each other. But then when you have it with the Biscoff, it turns into more of like a sweet, almost like a tawny port. Like it turns into like a fortified wine kind of territory. So it's like a dessert wine with Biscoff, and it's like a salty, savoury dessert snack with the bacon.
The bacon, then the beer, then the Biscoff. So it's kind of like it's having breakfast, right? You're having brunch, you're getting like maple syrup poured up in the pancakes, and then you've got that maple bacon hit, which is the savoury, and then you go into the Biscoff, which is your layer across the pancake, and then you get the sweet. So
You say you don't drink beer, but you describe this so much more eloquently.
This beer is more of a foodie than a beer. Like she's a foodie, and she loves pancakes. We have pancakes every week.
Our Sunday breakfast. This is add a bit of the Biscoff to it, which is the latest trend, and that's a flavour that I don't know. For me, like brings in home, brings in family, brings in a little bit of brunch and like Sunday, fun day, and so to put that in a beer. There's a lot of things, you could very easily cloud the flavour of the beer, but because of the additions of the extra snacks, you're kind of getting still a very classic beer plus additions. So I don't need to drink beer to understand that the flavour combination is about sweet, savoury, and then hitting the balance in between.
Especially when we're talking about like a real GABS beer, it gets to the point where at what point does it become food and not beer? There's so much going on.
Is it brekkie? Is it beer?
But what if we treat it like flapjacks and we go the bacon and the Biscoff together?
Do it. Could be it.
Go for it.
Could be it.
I'll be honest, there was not enough beer left to taste the beer.
I remember when we were here and we did GABS, there was the beer of the festival was like a 10 ingredient list beer. It was like blueberry, I don't even remember, it was like such a long name. It became like a whole card of the beer card.
Wasn't that imperial sour? It was like a pancake, donut, blueberry pastry sour.
It wasn't exactly pancake from my memory, but it was definitely like 10 words long. And I remember thinking and saying to James when we tried it, there was so much going on in the flavour, it was overwhelming. And as a non-beer drinker, to try that, I was like thrown right in the deep end. I'm like, this is so far away. And so when James was creating the beers, I just say to him, if you're going to try to convince someone who doesn't drink beer all the time, you're going to come in with something that makes sense. And pancake beer makes sense. Maple, blueberry, pancake. Clean. You're adding the bacon as a hit, the Biscoff as a hit, but they're not the whole flavour. So it's actually not clouding the vision of this is just brunch on Sunday.
honestly very eloquently put, because that is a big challenge as a craft brewer, is that on your level, you're looking for the most ridiculous as well as the most delicate and intricate and flavors that only someone with a really refined palate could detect. But the challenge with that is the vast amount of beer drinkers are still drinking VB. And if they're walking to the brewery and you're trying to get them to try something you know in your heart is fantastic, but they see the name and the name is scary, that's a challenge.
So,
Yeah, like...
but isn't VB, is that lager?
Yes, it's a terrible craft commercial lager.
I guess our answer to that is, like, as a brand, I was talking about how our core range sticks more to that kind of, we're trying to keep it simple. Our lager is called normal beer. So that's the name of our lager. And the owners that I work for, they've got a few venues that focus on craft beer. So they stock craft beer in all their venues. The biggest question they were asked at all their venues was, you had the average punter coming in and they'd see the tap list and they go, oh, mate, have you just got any fucking normal beer on tap?
It's a really fruity IPA. So I just tasted that as you were talking. That's really nice. Sorry, carry on.
That's okay.
That's the Danny.
Yeah. And so the biggest question they get is like, oh, mate, you just got any normal beer on tap? Like, just any normal beer?
Yeah.
And they're talking about the Carlton Dries, the VBs, the Carlton
And then you'd be like, oh yeah, here's a normal beer.
Yeah, so our lager is called normal beer.
I love it.
So now we can put that normal beer on tap, and it's just, it is a craft lager, but it's also, I've restrained it so much so that the guys that don't drink craft beer are not offended by it either.
But that's the thing though, that lager doesn't necessarily mean shit. Like you can have some fantastic like German lagers or Czech pilsners, like lagers can be fantastic and layered upon layer, but there's this association of lager is normal beer.
It's a dirty word in brewing. Like lager is a dirty word. Like the ale craze went for, like, lagers are coming back. They're becoming popular again. And I think there's an appreciation amongst the brewing community that if you can brew, like, truly a sign of a good brewer is if you can brew a good lager. Because there's nothing to hide behind. Like my big maple stout, it could be balanced and grey.
There was a Reddit post that went nuts on a homebrewing forum a couple of months ago, and the question was, what is the most difficult beer for a brewer to brew? And I said, I truly believe that the hardest beer to perfect is a actual high quality lager, because there is nothing to hide behind. You don't have the ability to hide behind big specialty malts or crazy hops or weird like additions in the secondary. It is all about how well crafted is that beer.
I would agree. Like, there's nuances and there's fantastic West Coast IPAs, there's fantastic regular IPAs and New England IPAs, and there are bad ones. But if you average them all out, the middle pack ones still taste good. Whereas if you don't have a good tasting lager or a pilsner, like you can tell really quickly. And me, what I know through the community and what my own personal belief is, is like I can really appreciate like a fucking good lager, and it is, as you say, I believe you. I would say it's the hardest beer to perfect and get good. Because you just got to treat it with respect. You just got to do it right. There's no shortcuts.
And unlike a lot of beers, you need to be patient. You have to let a lager.
And a lot of commercial brewers don't have that that ability to do that either. So that's why lagers don't dominate the market, because to make a good lager, you got to have that patience. But patience means cost.
Yes.
And like you can't produce a lager in the same time as you can produce an ale. So it's like it all makes sense. It's all sensible. But like when they're good, they go really well. And what was it, White Bay? They won the champion beer of the whole. Was it the ARBAs or the Indies? Like their lager was the beer of the whole awards. But you know why? Because they treated it with respect and it was a good beer. So like,
we talk about lagers, but like there's lagers and there's lagers. Where we're the world of craft beer and there's the world of lager, and it's ancient, and you've got so many different categories underneath it. But it's an area that I hope the craft brewing industry moves back into as we make the push back away from IPAs. So are you wrapping me up, mate? I think
this is a separate video itself.
this is absolutely a separate video. Yeah. This is James and the lager.
Really interesting. The good folk. Yeah.
Don't even ask me a question about cold IPA.
This is turning into a podcast.
You know, it's
This is
so
really
time
cool.
because right now we have a guy who's doing some trades at our house, and his favourite beers are Newcastle dries. That's his go-to. Now, I'm not saying he's a craft beer guy, but he loves James, knows James, and he's like, absolutely, I want to try the beer, but what one do I try? And I said, oh, what about a mixed six-pack? And James goes, you know what? No, a mixed six isn't going to work because you're spreading him across our entire range of beers.
Yeah.
This guy just wants a lager. He just wants a normal beer.
And that's the thing. You throw,
And he is happy as Larry.
you throw someone that has always drunk a commercial crap, and then you try to chuck them into, oh yeah, have these hazies, have these IPAs, have this amber, have this stout. They freak the F out, and they're like, I don't know what any of this is. I don't understand the names. I don't get the flavors on my tongue.
Oh my god, a fruity beer? What's a fruity beer?
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want to be a.
I don't want to have any of that fruity shit.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's like, you know what? That's fine. You know, James Brewer, Good Folk, the whole point was, let's not say they're wrong.
Yeah.
Let's say you love a lager. Let's give them a lager that is so fucking crisp, so delicious, so right on point for lager, that if any craft brewery came at it, they go, yep, I respect that. And any true drinker of a standard multicultural, like mainstream beer, they're just gonna go straight to that lager. And they're gonna be happy with it. They're gonna go, yep, I get it. That's a beer I'll enjoy.
Yeah. Totally agree. You have to find the middle ground to please everyone.
You've just got to go to Good Folks.
Just got to go to Good Folks. And where can we find you guys?
Newcastle.
Yeah.
On street.
There's a place.
Dude, we want to do
And
brewing
online.
tours.
Well, there's a lot of breweries in Newcastle now, so there's plenty of breweries to tour.
Sounds like that's the next road trip, mate.
You
Yeah.
know what?
Right.
When you
And
go
it
to
could be tax
Newcastle-
deductible as well for you guys.
Yes, ATO, are you listening?
You know what? The best thing about going to Newcastle is that, yeah, Good Folks is awesome and we love Good Folk. Obviously, we're big believers. But there are actually some other really great brewers there as well. Yeah. Their dynamic is growing. And I know from hanging out with James and the other guys that they actually are connected. They want to be Newcastle first. And that's not to say Newcastle only at all. It's actually to say, we're here, you're here, like, let us support each other. Like, James has been without a keg washer, right, for the last few weeks. It's been a nightmare. Another brewery just a kilometre away is helping wash his kegs.
Oh, that's all. What happened to your keg washer? Did it cark itself?
Well, I didn't have it operational yet. So,
Okay,
you know, we bought it second hand. I was trying to commission it, but we were needing product in keg. So in the meantime, I had other people washing it for me.
Yeah, washing kegs is the bane of existence.
But,
Yeah,
you know,
which was funny because when I got it working and I was washing kegs myself, I was like, I never thought I'd be so happy to be washing kegs. I washed some kegs by myself and I was like, I could not be happier right now. You know,
And you know, shout out to Method Brewing, who were the ones that helped James on that journey. Shout out to Mount Longhots, who have been there right when James was trying to get brewing out. We get it out fast enough. Longhots were right there. You know, Modus is actually helping out. Like that whole community are trying to be a community. And so I think if you come to Good Folk, you will have a good time, and you will have a good time at all the other breweries as well.
Solid.
Awesome.
Shout out.
Well, that was a friggin' awesome chat, and I think we should take a thumbnail. Let's take a photo.